That only took a week.
Not a fast learner. Hi, friends. Welcome back to the show. My name is Dean. Here we go again. Got the intro right this time. It's all about timing. That's all it is. Speaking of
we're
which,
not living under the banner of another show either.
No, yeah, exactly. We got all of our assets in place. It is a Crier Media production. My name is Dean. This is the Dean Blundell Show with Lochlin Cross, who joins today. He's real happy. We'll get to why in just a second. We'll also talk a little bit about the Blue Jays and a woman who should sue but won't, and why more people should be like Liz. More people should be like Liz. And we're going to get to some weed stuff today, too, because, well, old people are eating way too much pot. Way too much pot, which I knew would happen the second they're like, okay, weed isn't as bad as we thought it was. Everybody fill your boots. They're filling their boots all right. They are smoking all the weed, all the old people, but we've got an Oilers Game 7 to get to. They win last night 3-2, moving on to the Eastern Conference Final. Lochlin and Edmonton.
Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday, Dallas. That's when the Western Conference Final starts. We've got Oilers and Dallas in the West. We've got just a bullshit matchup in the East with the Rangers and the Florida Panthers. It's a bullshit matchup.
Don't go to sleep on that.
I'm not watching any of it. I'm not watching the Eastern Conference Final, and I'm not being a shithead about it because I like hockey, but Rangers, Panthers, zero interest. Oilers, I will watch. I will watch the Western Conference Final because I grew up an Oilers guy, real big fan. There's a Canadian team in the Final Four, always up for a Canadian team in the Final Four with a chance to go to the dance, and I like their chances, even though Ottinger's in net for Dallas, and y'all still don't have goaltending, but looks like you're able to put it together Game 7. And a big win last night. How are you feeling today, first of all? How do you feel? Do you feel like, is the pressure off? You feel like, at what point in the game last night were you like, okay, because it went right to the end, went to the final whistle, final tip.
Yeah, I'm not that fan that gets stressed out and can't function in his day-to-day life based on the winning or losing of a sports franchise. I enjoy sports. I watch a lot of different sports.
Yeah.
I would even suggest I'm a sports fan. But I don't get that invested.
Yeah.
Was the game exciting? Absolutely. Was the blood pressure going? Absolutely. I think Oiler fans are excited this morning because of the win, but also because of how they won.
Yeah.
That was the closest thing. They played almost a perfect 45 minutes. The last 15 minutes of the game, Vancouver came on and gave it a go and scared us all to death and got two goals in the last 10 minutes. But man, they kept a really talented Vancouver Canucks squad on the outside of the ice. There's 2 shots in the first period, Dean. I know you didn't watch the whole game, but they just smothered that team. And I think that's probably going to be the thing that everybody talks about, is that this team has figured out how to play together and play defensively. Now, I think that Dallas is the same thing as Vancouver, right? You can take a look at what happened in the regular season, and you can discredit them a little bit. But Dallas beat Colorado, a very skilled team, and moved on to the Western Conference Final because of that win in 6 games. So I am pretty sure that the Edmonton Oilers organization is not going to go into this and take this team lightly.
Are they banged up? Are they banged up? I know McDavid was a little bit banged
Everyone's
up.
banged up.
And it's playoffs.
It's the playoffs.
Let me ask you a question. How much of this, because it's the same team, largely didn't really do anything at the trade deadline, right? It's kind of the same team, same goaltenders, different coach. How much of that credit do you give to Knobloch, the new coach who took over for Woodcroft halfway through the year? Or not even, it was like a quarter of the way through the year because they were in the tank. Started to turn it around. Knobloch comes in. And he seems like, I was watching his post game last night. He seems calm. Like he seems super relaxed, pretty confident. Never heard of the guy in my life. He basically outcoached the coach of the year in Game 7, the most important game of the year.
Game 6
it looked like it was a walk, 6 and 7. but
Yeah.
how much credit is his? Because it's the same team, right? It's same with Rick Tocchet, who deserves a ton of credit the way he handled his post game last night in
I
Vancouver.
think
But how much do you give? Because he deserves all the credit there. I mean, it's the same team on paper, by and large, right?
if we're looking at overall impact, and if there was some way to weigh this and put some sort of number on it to quantify it, I think Tocchet had a marginally more impact on the Vancouver Canucks squad than Nobby has had on the Oilers. And the only reason I say that is because I think the Oilers have had the ingredients of a successful team. And I think they needed some leadership. But I think they were there, and the team was ready for this success. Does that make sense? Whereas I don't know if Vancouver and anybody in Vancouver, including the players, saw this type of potential this year. I think Tocchet had more of an impact on that Vancouver Canucks squad. I think Nobby has had an unbelievable impact on this squad. And I think defensively, Paul Coffey behind the bench has had just as much, if not,
because he came in after Woodcroft left too, right?
Time.
He came in with Knobloch. He came in and he turned their defensive efforts around, obviously. And Paul, by the way, one of the greatest guys in the world. I played hockey with him once in a pickup game. Didn't know he was going to be there. Shows up, Paul Coffey's on the ice. I'm like, holy fuck, I'm playing hockey with Paul Coffey. Nicest guy in the world too.
Yeah.
But you're right, and you know they're able to hide their deficiencies in net, whatever they did. But yeah, man, I think there's such a great story. Like the Oilers are that story from last year too, right? You've got a bunch of players that have been there before, so it wasn't any big stretch for Vancouver. But I mean, what a series! You know, from
it was an
top
amazing
to bottom,
series.
It was a great series. It was probably one of my favorite series outside of the one where the Leafs lost in overtime in Game 7 yet again. I thought that was my favorite series for very different reasons.
That's still my favorite series.
Yeah, it'll always be my favorite series every year. That's my favorite series. It happens every year. It's like
round
a fucking
1,
annual
Game 7. I got a bet on next year already.
But dude, I'm excited. I was watching
thing.
Fearless Fred, my buddy Fred. You know him. He was in his Oilers gear the other day. He's
he grew
super
up
pumped.
Here.
I'm pumped. Nice to see the Oilers in it again. Shades of like 85 to 89, right? Like, dude, it was like that a couple years ago, obviously.
I hope
but still, I'm pumped.
2006.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
I'm not even mad at the Oilers. I'm happy for
them. You can't be mad at this team.
No.
I think the impact of a coach, if we can go back to that, I think it is so much more difficult to coach in this league with the salaries, with the players, with the attitudes of the play. Like I've said this before. I think that's the biggest issue in
all
Toronto.
These new
right
woke players, players.
Woke is the wrong word.
Millennials, Gen Z,
spoiled little shits.
Spoiled little fuckers.
Yeah, I think that's when you can find a coach that, however they do things, connects and gets them on board, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's when you're going to have success. That and that has to be part of the equation. Go back and take a look at any winning team. There's always a conversation about goaltending. There's always a major conversation revolving around coaching. So I think the coaching in Edmonton, in Vancouver, played a huge part to get them to where these teams are.
Yeah, I think so too. But here's the thing. The other thing is it's going to be live for the country, right? It doesn't listen, I know a lot of Flames fans. I know a lot of like Canucks fans are pissed off this morning, right? Your team took it to Game 7. You weren't supposed to be here. You are. Everybody's got a pretty good perspective of Vancouver this morning. I'm watching a lot of people saying no quitting the Canucks. Really proud of this team.
Yeah.
This what happens is, and it's been this coercive effect over the years because we just can't have a Stanley Cup in this country. You're going to see the entire country get behind the Oilers, and I'm really happy about that. Oh yeah,
I would have got behind Vancouver
when the Raptors went to their final and they won in 2019. right? How
Yeah.
the rest of the country became basketball fans. Like you hadn't watched a Raptor
Yeah.
game in years, and you're like, you're
I was
showing
on
up
that
to a
bandwagon.
conference final. You're on the bandwagon because Canadians have that ability to celebrate Canadiana. It doesn't happen in the States with those teams because everything's so regionalized. Here, it's such a vast expanse, and we have very little. It's the same reason why people go to Rough Rider games in Saskatchewan. It's like, well, there's nothing else here. Might as well fucking go, right?
It's an excellent
for
way
us,
of
it's
showing our
that
pride.
important. Yeah, absolutely it is. So it's going to be fun to watch. I'm in. I was an Oilers fan as a kid. I'm a Gretzky file. I've got way too much money in Gretzky memorabilia. I was an Oilers kid, still am an Oilers kid at heart. So I'm really, really happy this morning. Like you, like my beautiful Edmontonians and Oilers fans. Yeah.
I will say this, and then we can wrap up. You want to talk about? We might as well stay on the sports thing. You want to talk about the Blue Jays, but I do want to say one quick thing. So, I thought last night how the fans in Vancouver, because Vancouver finished ahead of just barely, like by a nose hair in the standings, so they ended up having home ice advantage in Game 7. And I thought how the Vancouver Canucks fans in the stands last night handled that team and applauded that team at the end of the game was admirable. No one left that building. That building was packed.
Yeah. And no one rioted in the streets.
Second.
That's something known in Vancouver, right? They're terrible losers in Vancouver. That's why we've known them. Like, remember that Stanley Cup 2011 where they turned everything
I think a lot of that was
lit everything on fire.
From out of town.
Antifa.
I remember the Guns N' Roses too. Do you remember the Guns N' Roses?
Yeah,
Brian?
It's like Vancouver's that city
that was people from the States.
You just don't take things away from Vancouverites at the last second. You just don't, because they're like, "Oh, what the fuck, man?" Because it's like such a rich city, entitled city. Same thing with Toronto. Like, if we're just so used to sucking that losing is like legitimately part of our DNA, so we're never surprised by a loss. But in Vancouver, they're a little bit different. To your point, they fucking handled it like chumps. They were great. I thought they were awesome. Cheered the team off the ice. Thank you very much for a lovely season. We didn't think any of this was possible.
Great season for them.
Yeah, it was nice. It was that's the way a Canadian series wraps up, with the Canadian home fans going, thank you for a lovely show this year. It's been 7 great months. And good luck to the Edmonton Oilers. Hopefully you guys you do that in New York. Like if the Islanders beat the Rangers in Game 7, you're fighting your way out of that fucking stadium. And the fans are trying to fight to get fucking players.
Knicks fans are fighting each other.
Oh yeah, same thing in Montreal. If it's the Habs, right? They're going after players. They're going after coaches and shit like that.
I will say this though,
it's nice.
Every sports franchise has its like over the top fans, and so I think you got a situation where you know what, you're gonna have some loser Canuck fans, you're gonna have some loser Oiler fans, you're gonna have some loser Leaf fans, but
and it's like you can separate your fan by what the fan wants, right? You can separate fans in sports by how willing they are to put up with it just because they love the team, and that was typified this weekend at a Blue Jays game.
I agree.
I'm going to show you a picture. You're going to love this. It's a picture of a woman who took a fucking line drive, a Bo Bichette 111-mile-an-hour line drive.
Those are tough seats she has. You got to pay attention.
Yeah, you got head on a swivel, kids. If you're at a Jays game, the netting only works to where the netting stops. So this woman named Liz is at a game.
I haven't seen this yet.
She takes a line drive to the forehead just above her right eye. And not only did she not sue, she posted it for everybody to see because she loves the fucking team that much. Look at this. Look at her fucking head. Pics of Toronto Blue Jays fan who got whacked by foul ball go viral. This is Liz.
Look at that first one.
Oh, dude, she took it in the toque right above the eye. And this is a couple of days later. She's got a massive black eye. Swelling's gone down. Contusion, skull contusion. She was diagnosed with a concussion. And there she is giving the old thumbs up in front of Bo Bichette, who's up like a couple of days later. Said he felt bad. She got a whole bunch of free shit from the Blue Jays. But not only did she not sue, she was actually really happy that it happened. Look at this is her tweet. Hey, Blue Jays, I got my face mashed by a 110-mile-an-hour foul off Bo Bichette's bat.
Good Lord.
I didn't even get the ball. I even stayed to the end of the game. Any way you can hook a girl up. Not only did they give her baseballs, they were all signed by the team. Bo Bichette, couple bats, couple jerseys, because they're like, please don't sue us. And that is one of those old school fans. That's how you and I grew up. We would have taken that fucking shot to the head. We would have gone to the school the next day and said, you know who did this? Bo Bichette. Bo Bichette. I was at the game. That's what this meant. We don't live in that time anymore. We live in a time where people are like, someone spilled a Coke on me. I'm going to sue Rogers Center. Oh, that game was no good, and I got strip searched, and someone touched the shaft. I'm going to go and sue somebody. That girl was like, strip search me, let me in, foul ball off the head, pimp the foul ball, accepted risk. I'm a fan. Here's the picture. Thank you, Blue Jays, for all the free shit. I'll be back. I want more fans like that, and less of those fans that show up and go, oh, this is an invasion of my privacy. You can't look in my purse. Like, I want those guys.
Yeah. And the good news is now she can actually have conversations with her cat. She got hit so hard, her cat started talking to her.
Look at that. And the Blue Jays suck, too. I can't even watch a game.
I'm very confused by this team. I thought they were going to put it together this year.
No, they can't.
They can't get it going.
No, they can't. And they're nowhere near as good as they thought they were. Yeah, Vlad's okay. He's not great. Bo Bichette's okay. He's not great. Alek Manoah, who gives a shit? George Springer's old. He's done. He's making $30 million a year. It's so hard to watch. So hard to watch this team be mediocre. Every year you hear the same thing, and every year it's the same thing. This is the year, next level, everybody. That's our hashtag.
They still have time. It's a long season. They got 1,000 games. We're only 325 into the season, so I
heard they're going to be selling. I heard they might sell cannabis drinks there though next year. It's in
really
the works. The Rogers.
You know what? Yeah. When I was down in Palm Springs, down in Joshua Tree. There's more. Listen. I thought I would see more of it in Canada when we legalized weed. I thought we would see more weed-infused drinks, wines, and things like that. And I haven't seen it. It doesn't. It's not pervasive. You know. It's not like in your face. I wonder what that is. Because
Health Canada guidelines say you can only put so much cannabis or so much THC in one of those drinks, and it's largely ineffective. It's like 5 to 10 milligrams. You need like a good 20 to 30.
Have you had a 10 milligram beer?
I've had 20 of them.
Okay, they twist you up, but I'm not a weed guy.
No, have you had one? Have you had a 10 milligram beer? You have?
Yes, I had 2 on this podcast. Remember?
And how did you feel?
I was stoned out of my tree.
On 20 milligrams of cannabis? But you don't smoke a ton of cannabis, right? You don't
I don't
use cannabis. So
I thought it was very effective. And I'm like the guy that eats the 5 milligram gummy and goes to sleep for 16 hours.
Are you serious? 5 milligrams gummy shoot for 16? Yeah.
We just
dude, and I'll tell you something. It is one of the greatest revelations for anybody over the age of 40 right now. It really is. I was literally ensconced.
Did you smoke weed when you were a kid?
No, not at all. I didn't touch it till I was in my late 40s or mid 40s when I quit drinking.
Oh, really? See, I dabbled. I dabbled because I grew up with hippies. So
because the reason why I did is because everybody scared the shit out of me for my entire childhood. Going, if you get caught with this, they're gonna cut your dick off. And I'm like, what? They're gonna cut my dick off? That's unbelievable. If you get caught with weed, you go straight to jail. And you're like, what? Go to jail? It's like cocaine? What? Are you serious? Is it like meth? Yes, it is. It's a gateway drug to like sex and more. And I'm like, sex sounds great. What? Is that bad? Like you like that? It sounds like a great time. They're like, no, then you'll become a coke addict and then you turn into a bum and you live on the streets. That's what my dad. Every time I wanted to try something that was like of the world, growing up in a born again Christian home, my dad would be like this. You try that, next thing you know, you're going to be homeless and living on the streets, and I'm not coming to save you. And you're like, dude, it's just a beer. He's like, go ahead, roll the fucking dice. And you're like, what? Are you serious? Well, cannabis, when I grew up, found a bag of weed in this new house that we moved in. And I'm like, hey, what's this? My dad's like, you know what this is? This is your key to homelessness. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Looks like some herbs in a bag. He's like, this is cannabis, marijuana. Are you familiar with where marijuana, son? It's a gateway drug to homelessness. Next thing you know, you're going to be ass up in a ditch getting buggered by a meth head. And I'm like, what? What's a meth head? What's buggered? I don't even understand what that is. So anyway, that generation was scared to death. They scared us to death. And a new study came out about cannabis. And I want to read this to you because it made me laugh my ass off. People are going ham on it, including the old folks. Cannabis legalization coincided with an uptick in ER visits from seniors. This is good stuff. I'm going to read this to you. A new study linked the legalization of cannabis with a rise in the number of Ontario seniors visiting emergency rooms. The number of people aged 65 and over checking into ERs in Ontario for what amounted to cannabis poisoning, it's not a thing, grew sharply over an 8-year period, particularly after cannabis was legalized, according to the report published in the peer-reviewed medical journal JAMA Internal Medicine Science booklet, or whatever the fuck they call it. Researchers suggested, this is good, you'll like this, that we underestimate the magnitude of cannabis poisoning, specifically with the old folks. Nathan Stahl, his doctor, said legalization of edibles occurred just before COVID-19, which may have deterred some people from visiting ERs. But the findings come after several recent studies outline a rise in the number of kids hospitalized for accidental overdoses. Those saw a notable spike after edibles of THC-infused gummies started to flood the market. It gets better. A 2022 report in the New York Journal of Medicine, for instance, found hospitalizations jumped more than 2.5 times the recreational use of cannabis. The study looked at Ontario, Alberta, British Columbia, and Quebec.
Yeah.
The fun part is the old folks are really going for it. These are not people getting high and giddy, Mr. Stahl said. These are people getting sick to the point where they're freaking out, think they're having strokes, serious infections, and metabolic abnormalities. This is good. The first window covered pre-legalization starting 2015 until the end of 2018 when cannabis sales were rolled out. The study reported pre-legalization rate of emergency room visits among older adults, 65 and over, was 5.8 per 100,000. So per 100,000 people, only 5.8 people would go to the ER going, fuck, I'm too high. That went up to 15.4 per 100,000 during the first phase of legalization. Recently rose to 21.1 per 100,000 once edibles were introduced, which means that number's gone up like 200, 300, 400 times in some cases of old people going, let's eat all the fucking brownies. Let's have a bunch of gummies. Why don't we just roll it? And what they don't understand is that it doesn't work like booze.
I know, dude, I know what happens. I know what happens. So it is a, it's an entry level thing, right? It's somebody that hasn't been doing it. And so they're like, all right, I'm going to try this. All right, grandpa, go to the store, get us some edibles. So they're going to do it on a Friday night, whatever. They have a glass of wine, they have some dinner, they put a movie on, and they pop, maybe a 10 milligram, right? Mm-hmm. And they wait 15, 20 minutes and they don't really feel anything. Maybe a little lightheaded or something, right? So then they go, wow, let's take 2. So then the next thing, they got 30 milligrams in them, and have you ever smoked so much that you got
no
greened out is a better poisoning.
Yeah, there's no such thing as alcohol, or there's no such thing as cannabis poisoning. It's called greening out. You just smoke too much and your fucking nervous system starts to collapse. And
that's happened to me.
A panic attack. That's exactly what happened. You have a panic attack. Some people passed out. That has happened to me. That's only happened once because there was so much keef in the joint that I rolled. It was just a nightmare. Thought the world was ending, and then I passed out for 30 seconds, woke up, and I'm like,
and some people like that feeling. Like I'm not a fan. Like, like I said, I've been the drinker. Mm-hmm. And so over the years, I've had a puff here and there. I never really bought it. I mean, there was periods of my time where I had it around, maybe more than when I was younger.
Yeah.
Than I would ever consider it now.
Well, I'll tell you a story, because I think part of it is you're right. I think you're right about the idea that during Prohibition, when everybody was telling us cannabis was going to lead to ditch meth head sex, and cocaine and losing everything. Remember that? Remember, it's like, you'll lose it all. I'm like, oh, it's just weed. It's just a little bit of weed. Everybody's been smoking it for like thousands of years, Dad. He's like, the Indians don't know what they're talking about. I'm like, I don't know. They were able to survive in the bush for like 40,000 years. I'm pretty sure they know what they're doing. It's not a peace pipe. It's a drug pipe. And I'm like, I don't know, dude. It's one of those things. So if you can get over, like, as an old person, which apparently a lot of old folks are doing over the age of 65, you can get over that stigma. what people are realizing today is that it is so much better for you than alcohol
Yeah.
that they can't get enough. So these old
But you
people,
can't overdo it.
well, of course you
Especially if your
can.
body's not used to it.
Absolutely. But what they
Mhm.
do, to your point, because it takes like 30 to 45 minutes for any kind of cannabis to get hyperactivized in your body, right? Like it takes any kind of 30 45 minutes for it to actually get realized. And depending on how your endocannabinoid system works, you might get really high, you might get anxious,
Like me.
depending on the strain you have. And this is the arrowing down part of cannabis a lot of people need to do. Sativas generally can make you anxious because they're uplifting and they get you going, and they're sort of exciting and they're fun, but they also come with a little bit of anxiety sometimes, depending on how many terps and what they've got in them. And then indicas are for people that want to sleep. You can get different strains that make you also anxious, but also you can get strains that make you euphoric, tired, hungry, not hungry. There are millions of strains that do all kinds of things. We don't even understand how important this plant is. But let me walk you through something. What's that?
And one more thing,
What's that?
because this is true. I've witnessed this.
Okay.
If I smoke a certain, like I've smoked with people. If I smoke indica, like I'm in the couch is the saying, right?
That's
Like
the whole
I'm
idea.
out. Like
Yeah.
ugh. But if I've smoked with people where they want to run a marathon. It
Yeah.
impacts everybody differently too.
Very different.
That's the other issue with this I think these studies. It's going to be difficult because how Dean responds to it and how Lochlin responds to different things is completely polar opposite in some situations, right? So you've got that on top of it. Everybody's body's different. Some people can't take Tylenol or it'll kill them.
Totally.
Yeah.
Your physiology is different, right? So what I interact with poorly, someone else might interact with well. Like I cannot smoke a sativa. I know people that only smoke sativas, right? So
I generally
get
like
this
the
question
sativas
all the time because generally speaking, yeah, you would because you like excitement, right? And if you're in a good mood, what happens is cannabis will then accentuate that mood. If you're in a bad mood or you're anxious, cannabis might accentuate that bad mood or that anxiety. So it's dependent on your mood. It depends on your physiology. It depends on how you feel. Old people don't give a fuck about any of that, though. So let me walk you through this. Cannabis might be one of the greatest therapies for sleep, right? Old folks over the age of 50, 65, they have problems with sleeping, and sleep now is at this point. And I read a study the other day where Health Canada and health professionals in the United States are now classifying people that are at extreme lack of sleep as a carcinogen. It's just as unhealthy as any other toxin you put in your body. So they literally are linking like perpetual tiredness to different cancers, and people are dying early because they're taking in different foods that are bad for them because they're tired and they want quick food. That's full of shit you shouldn't eat. Your body doesn't have a chance to fight back or fight off certain infections. So that obviously does it. You're not getting the nutrients you want. But sleep is literally the number one thing to improve if you have mental health issues, if you have health issues, physical health issues. And so there's this connection to it. And when I went through my therapy after I quit drinking, I went to a psychiatrist and he kind of explained this shit to me. And I'm like, well, what do you mean sleep's that important? He goes, dude, like it's the one thing everybody can do for their mental health. And so that started me down this long journey of trying to figure out if I can't drink, can I smoke cannabis? And I'm going to use cannabis for a purpose. And so I would sleep, and I'll take you through this routine. I would sleep probably 2 to 3 hours at a time. And I would get up three, 4 times a night. Yeah. Back when I drank, back when I wasn't on cannabis, back when I didn't have a routine, back when I wasn't being good to myself. And so after a year of being 100% sober, so no drinking, no nothing, just water, just exercise, I went back to my doctor. And then he sent me to a guy who really specializes in cannabis therapy. And he said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go through your physiology. We're going to prescribe you.
Hold on.
What's that?
You're a year into clean.
100%.
You're still not sleeping?
Still not sleeping, no.
Okay.
Yeah. No sleep.
Huh?
Anxiety, stress, all the things. Because you're dealing when you quit drinking, right? You're dealing with like reorienting yourself, trying to figure out coping mechanisms, deal with your life. All those things that came with the physical aspects came with the actual emotional aspects and mental aspects of wellness too.
Okay.
So that starting point after I had a year under my belt and I kind of was familiar with some truths that were really important, I was like, okay, I need to sleep. So he prescribes me a bag of dope for lack of a better term. I get this bag of dope in the mail. And I'm like a little nervous, right? Because I'm like, am I an addicted personality? Am I going to be able to stop this? I don't know how this works. And he's like, no, don't worry about it. I want you to smoke that joint or consume that cannabis any way you can. And I want you to take 10 milligrams of melatonin, just 10 milligrams. That's it. And I'm like, okay, what's melatonin? It's like this natural hormone your body produces when things are dark. It helps you sleep and it makes you feel rested. It's very important because you're not producing it right now because you're in the anterior lobe of your pituitary gland. This is something people don't realize. Loses its effectiveness because your booze has been swimming in, like your pituitary gland and your brain's been swimming in booze for like years, right? So what I did was, and I thought it was really important, is I consulted somebody. I got a plan. First night I took, I smoked the entire joint. Then I took my melatonin, and then I went and laid down in bed. This is night one of not sleeping for years. It's got to be 7, 8 years. Gave it a pull, nature's sleeping pill. Yeah, didn't work for a few years. I slept that night for 9 hours. Didn't wake up once. 9 hours. And I woke up and I literally was in fucking tears. Like, oh my God, that worked. Wasn't a sleeping pill, wasn't a narcotic, wasn't a chemical. It was a plant from the ground and a natural hormone that your body actually can process and you can start to sleep.
I have heard that you can overdo the melatonin, though.
You can. So I take like 3 weeks off at a time. I'll do it for a month.
Okay.
I'll take a week off here, reset my body because it does cause some kind of depressive issues sometimes. I haven't experienced it because, again, an ounce of prevention is worth way more than you're in the heat of the moment of some extreme anxiety, right? So those are things like when we talk about wellness, those are things that cannabis has given us and given people in that old folks community that are like, oh my God, I can finally sleep, like my parents. My folks are like straight edge, right? They really are.
Yeah.
Dad doesn't drink, hasn't for like 45 years. Cannabis is the devil. Like, keep in mind, this is the same guy that would like show me a bag of weed and go, next thing you know, you're going to be sucking off a guy at the Greyhound station for $50. You want that for your life, huh? Want it? And I'm like, no, I really don't want it. I don't want any of that.
I'd only do it for 20, Dad.
50. I don't do it for any less than 75, cheapo. How much are you charging for blowjobs, Dad?
50. I'll put a finger in your bum.
for less than 50. Like 35 and a Coke. So a lot of people don't understand how important it is, and it is important. It is important. None of those people are drinking anymore. There's so many people in that old folks community who just went to Swan Lake or some
there's
kind
a lot of
Viva
there's a lot of old folks still pounding the booze.
They're still pounding the booze, like the magnums of wine. I see some people in the liquor store for my walks all the time when I go get a bottle of wine for somebody else. Like,
I will say this, it's. I think you did your research on this because you were trying to accomplish something, right? And good for you. And you're also that guy. You're that guy that goes, all right, you're kind of you don't mind doing a little bit of work on the research side of things to figure out what's good or bad for you, right? Not everybody's like that. Not everybody's going to take the time that you took to sort this out, to learn.
That's why I'm telling him what my routine is. I'm telling everybody to hack their lives with cannabis. It is absolutely, and listen, I don't ever tell people what to do. Never tell people who to vote for you. Everybody's on their own journey. Drink if you want to, smoke if you don't. I could care less. But if you are one of those people that has a hard time sleeping, get a cannabis prescription. Fuck, you don't even need one anymore. Go get a really nice indica. Talk to a bartender. Yeah, and say, hey, here, I want to sleep. I want euphoric. I want calm. Give me an indica, give me in a distillate, in a live resin, give me flower. If you're unfamiliar with how to roll a joint, get a bong. Doesn't matter. You can get a vape cartridge, little 510 thread. You can get the disposables. You can have, I am telling you, you can get sprays for under your tongue. You can get edibles. There's so many ways to help.
Edibles are, I think, probably the better way to go.
Yeah, probably.
I'm not an expert.
Immediate effect. That's the thing. That's the only problem. Is that edibles they're sneaky. Like you can have, like you pointed out, one that's 5 milligrams, not feeling anything for half an hour. You dummy 2 more. The compounding effect is like 20 times as bad. It's as opposed to 20 times as good.
But as if you can wait it out, take the one, try it, see how that works, and then if if you're a 10 milligram person, try the 10 milligram the next night, right?
Now, here's another hack I got for you.
Because I don't think a lot of people like smoke. I'm the guy. I don't like smoke. in my
Yeah.
lungs. I
No,
don't.
you just love the Eddies. And do they help you
Yeah.
sleep? Have you noticed a difference in your sleep?
I don't take them very often.
But when you do,
I've had them occasionally. If my head's
and
going 100 miles an hour, I find. Listen, I don't have problems with sleep, so I've never
anybody in your
been the
house
guy that's like
enjoying those?
searching.
Just you?
Sorry.
Anybody in your house enjoying a nice sleep after some cannabis as well?
Yep. The wife will try the odd edible every once in a while, and it does work for her for sure. For me,
Absolutely.
I find I get a really good 3 hours or 4 hours of sleep, and then I might be restless after that. And then so I'm
Yeah, but
not
do you mix it
I'm
with
not there
beer?
yet.
Well, do you mix it with beer? It's after a few beers too, isn't it? Yeah. Well, you can't do that. Do one night. Just do cannabis beers. Have like 4 of them, dude. You will sleep till
Oh,
Thursday, and you'll wake up like this.
do you mix it with
I
beers?
feel good. No, I mix it with beers and some beef. That's what I mix it with. Mix it
Yeah.
with beers.
I
and
feel bad
pepperette.
for people, and I've said this for years, man, that if you have trouble with sleep,
Mhm.
it's
It is so bad for you. Not sleeping is so bad for you. Not sleeping kills more people than anything else in the world because it just attaches itself to all the different things you have.
Did I
Your
tell you the
body,
story?
your immune system. Yeah, no, hang on just a second. Probably, I don't know. You probably told me the story.
I'm going to tell you the story.
Tell me.
Finish. You finish.
But if you talk to any doctor, go to your GP. If you have a problem sleeping and you're suffering, like really, really suffering, go to your GP and say, listen, I was listening to a podcast where this guy was talking about cannabis
This
therapy for
idiot.
sleep. This idiot, this
told me
big white
to-
loser,
smoke
horn-rimmed
meth.
glasses, who's been sober for 7 years, who sleeps 8-9 hours a night, every night religiously, doesn't matter, don't move, don't even get up to pee. I'm 51. 51. Don't even get up to pee. I don't. I can crush like 6 waters. I get up 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, depends on when I go to bed. It's always 8 hours. I feel happy. I feel fresh. I have all kinds of maladies that have gone away. All kinds of sleep issues are done. All kinds of physical issues that have corrected themselves from liver to pancreas to kidney because I slept and I quit drinking. But oh my God, I would highly encourage anybody that's got sleep issues to go and talk to your doctor. Listen to me.
Yeah.
Don't do what I do. Go and talk to your doctor, come up with a plan, and figure out a way to incorporate cannabis and melatonin to some extent in your life responsibly. You will thank me for it later.
And if you have a doctor that's not willing to have the cannabis conversation, go find another doctor. Yeah. Here's what the story I want to tell. And this was years ago, and I've talked about this on my radio program. I brought this up probably 30 times because it was that impactful to me. I can see the guy's face right now. I don't remember his name. He was a doctor, and it was a daytime talk show. And they were talking about how many patients he had. And he was like, it's crazy how many people I see, and it's out of hand. And he said to the host of this daytime talk show, he goes, if my patients started drinking enough water, getting enough sleep, and exercising, and he goes, just, I'm telling you, just going for a damn walk, I'd see half my patients, I'd see half of them less than, what was his line? Son of a bitch, I'm screwing this up. I'd see less than half of my patients half the time. Did I screw that up?
Yeah. You see,
I totally did.
The people that smoke cannabis, people that sleep, right? That's what you're talking about, correct?
Yeah. No. It was a doctor. He said, if my patients just drank enough water, got enough sleep, and exercised, got up off their fat asses, and walked around the block every day,
you'd see half as many people.
Yeah, I'd see half as many people. And the host of the show goes, come on. And he repeats, he doubles down, and he says it over again. He was adamant. And it stuck with me because of how adamant he was. He was like, people don't take their own health into their own hands. It's been a bit of a theme on the show the last little while. And he was saying, like, literally, and it was funny because it wasn't anything magical. It was like, drink enough fucking water, get a little bit of exercise, and figure out your sleep problems.
You know,
And you're not going to be in the doctor every day.
For all the things that I laugh at Rogan about, he's right about a couple things. And one of the things he's right about is that if you exercise regularly, if you drink a lot of water, if you don't drink to excess, right? If you don't do those things, if you take your vitamins, if you sleep, if you just get some fucking sleep, you're going to be healthier than you've ever been. Right? Like literally,
thing is,
I've lost
the exercise.
120 pounds, dude. I've lost 120 pounds in the last like 6 years from just not drinking. I incorporated exercise into my life a couple years ago. I started to sleep like a champ about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And my outlook is different. The pacing that I have in my life is different. My health is great. Like fucking unbelievably good for someone who was like, I don't need to go to the doctor for 10 years. You go to the doctor, you're like, yeah, you're actually in really good
go every year.
112 over 69. I've got my blood pressure's perfect. I have got no issues. I've got none, zero, no physical issues. Dude, 7 years ago, I'll walk you through this. I had hypertension, high blood pressure. I was pre-diabetic. I was 320 pounds. 320 pounds. I'm 200 pounds.
I miss Fat Dean.
Fat Dean was a riot. He used to love to go off, too. Couple cans of Chef Boyardee before bed after a bottle of vodka. That was good. Wake up angry. That was a lot of fun. Take your family on vacation, screaming, yelling at everybody all the time in the car because you got the fucking hangover from death and you want people to shut up. All you can think about is getting to that next fucking Caesar. That's a lot of fun. Anyway, I go to the doctor after I quit drinking. I get diagnosed with, you'll love this, high blood pressure, pre-diabetic, hypertension, high cholesterol.
What is hypertension?
Hypertension is like blood pressure, like massively high blood pressure, like 5 billion over 200,000. It was fucking ridiculous, and can't sleep for more than an hour at a time. Panic attacks all the time. My liver's functioning at 7%. My kidneys are functioning at 20%. My pancreas was like, "Fuck you." I had a mild version of pancreatitis. I hadn't had a solid bowel movement in 3 years.
What? You had the runs? You had the shits?
Oh, the like perpetual shits. I'm like, and I remember my doctor going, "You should probably quit drinking." I'm like, well, that's not going to happen. So, like, give me something I can.
Can you give me something to tighten up the old stool?
Can't you give me like some Imodium or something? It's like, oh, I guess, but if you're taking Imodium because you want to counterbalance the effects of all the alcohol you're drinking, you should probably ask yourself some questions.
So you're not a white pants guy.
Or white gitch. No, it's the white gitch guy.
Every time I see a guy with...
I moved into the black underwear phase of my life for camouflage, just in case I shit my pants. But I was literally a physical and mental mess. So what did I do? I quit drinking. I got help, and I incorporated cannabis into my life. And I can tell you this. Outside of the obvious, which is group therapy, which was really good for a couple of years, outside of the obvious of private therapy, real psychotherapy, someone who's like, we got to give you a little medication for a few months because you are toast. I mean, I was sitting there going, yeah, whatever, man.
Yeah.
Whatever. And outside of those things, I can tell you the two things that I credit any kind of professional outlook I have, any kind of happiness I have, is other than doing all of that work, if it was not for cannabis as a therapy and if it were not for sleep, I would be fucked.
Yeah.
Fucked. And I highly encourage everybody to look into it and to unfuck yourselves with just a little moderation and trying to fucking figure it out. Because sleep really, really, really important to the rest of the stuff. Because if you're tired, you're not going to do any of this stuff, right?
I got a weight loss update for you.
What do you got?
So I was pretty stressed out. I was denying it. I remember talking to you when a certain individual took over the last company that I was working at, and I remember my line was, I'm gonna take advantage of the chaos that this individual is going to create, because with chaos comes change, and sometimes change can be good. And listen, I was trying to be positive about it, but I was bearing a lot of stress. And then not only that, I was pretty certain that I was going to get a bullet in me. And just,
and let me just kind of clarify that for the YouTube 1, 2, 3 strike audience. He's not going to get murdered. Bullet means he was going to lose his job, fired. That's
yes, that's horrible terminology. Thank you for correcting that. And so a lot of people might think that I brought it on myself, and I understand that philosophy, but I was smart enough to know. And even you were sort of saying, like, listen, Locke, the end might be. And so we talked about my role with Crier Media countless times. Like, what's that going to look like if you're out of work, blah, blah, blah. Can we do podcasts every day? So we were having those conversations before I got let go. And I was stressed out. I was drinking a lot more than I am right now. I was 240 pounds. Well, I'm 6'4", so I can carry 240 okay. And I didn't realize how much stress I was dealing with and walking around with until after I got fired. A couple of days after I got fired, I was like, I can kind of breathe, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in the beginning of February, I went to Mexico and I got really sick. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
I got like street taco sick. And I lost, and I don't want to talk about it, but there was one day in particular where I saw something and I was like, okay, I don't remember eating that. That probably needed to come out of there.
I haven't eaten raisins since I was 12.
No, it was something different, but anyway, we don't need to get into it. So there was a couple of days where it was just like, what is going on?
Was it like a wristwatch?
If you really want to lose some weight,
tinfoil,
I got crayons? A destination for you.
What was
Drop me a line.
I want to know what it was.
No, you don't. I'm telling you right now.
No, I kind of do. Dude, like we're at that.
Remember, I told you that I was going to send you a picture during that time, and that you would have hated me. You probably would never talk to me again.
One of the things that is like it's like a rite of passage for anybody over the age of 45. It's, what did you find in your poop? Right.
Okay. Well,
like, you're getting older by how long you stare at your bowel movements.
Okay. We'll start with the color. It was grayish blue. And it looked like the skin from a reptile. I finally got on some antibiotics after a week of just.
I guess so.
Like, that was like on the Friday. And then by Sunday, I was like, I need to deal with this. It's still just like fire hose. Anyway, I go to the doctor. I get some antibiotics. On that Monday, that Sunday, I took the antibiotics, immediately started feeling better. Immediately was like, okay, I might be able to actually have a solid meal here. But it was like, it was 8 days.
Oh,
it was 8 days.
And the worst part of that, the worst part of month is anything,
Saturday.
or when you get any kind of stomach bug, it's like if you enjoy a good fart, it's like you can't trust a fart for like 8 days. Every time you get that beautiful feeling, you get the anxiety that comes with it, where you're like, do I squeeze this out? Do I check the waters? Do I test it? Do I tap my ass cheeks to make sure things aren't wet? Like, what am I doing here? It's always the
so I go to the scale on the Monday. Yeah. And the reason why I weighed myself when I went down to Mexico is I was like, I'm going to try not to eat. No, I weighed myself because I don't weigh myself very often. I weighed myself in the bathroom, in the spare bedroom. We don't even keep the scale in the main room, the main bedroom. I weighed myself because I'm like, I'm going to an all-inclusive. I know myself. I'm going to try to get my money's worth while I was down there. And I'm like, I was doing a lot of self-talk as we were heading down. Don't be an idiot. Don't eat and drink like you have 7 assholes.
Were you telling yourself that? You're doing positive affirmations to not drink like you're going to the electric chair?
I didn't want when I broke my tailbone when I was 40, I puffed up to 265 and I was not happy.
Yeah, but you're not going to gain like 40 pounds in a week. You can go and enjoy yourself on your all-inclusive, dude. You don't have to worry about it. You're like a yoga fucking
best
trainer.
Thing in the world, though, that happened to me was I got that sickness. So I weigh myself on that Monday after taking a day of antibiotics and slowed down the fire hose out of my ass. I weighed 230 pounds.
Impressive.
Now, I got fired, immediately started to feel better. My drinking has gone down. A bit, not significant, but I'm not as much as we talk about it. I'm not a real heavy drinker, but it has gone down a bit.
Good.
So anyway, and now it's been a couple of months. at the beginning of May, I went down to whatchamacallit, California, Joshua Tree.
Yep.
By the way, there's locker room shirts up now. My t-shirt guy thought it would be funny to put, because I saw an alien when I was down there. So we put a probed shirt up there. You can go check it out if you want.
Yeah, you
So
have the
anyway-
shirt, you didn't see an alien. You saw a light in the sky that might have been an alien. That's just want to clarify that.
I saw an alien craft. Anyway, I got back from Joshua Tree.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was eating really well down there, eating really clean. It's a vegan thing because it's a Yoga Alliance retreat. Got my 200 hours, certified to be a yoga teacher. I've already got a job. I start in June. I'll give you guys some details on that. I stepped on the scale the other day. I was under 220 pounds.
For the first time since when? Probably forever. Your wife's probably all over you. Deb probably can't leave you alone. You look like a greyhound, all cock and ribs. You know that.
Probably since I was 30.
There you go. There you go.
I bet you I was 29 the last time I weighed less than 220.
See, there you go. All you needed was a stomach bug and a yoga retreat to lose 20 pounds. Congratulations.
And a world of stress.
Do it naturally. Get some sleep. Incorporate more weed into your diet. That is Lochlin Cross. Congratulations to the Oilers. You got another series. We do not. I am all in on the Oilers. Let's watch that game together on Thursday, please. And
Wednesday, the Eastern Conference starts. Thursday, that Western Conference final starts.
All right. I'm excited. Let's all watch. Let's all support a Canadian team, friends. Doesn't matter if you were a Rangers guy, if you're there's no Florida Panthers fans in Canada anyway. No one gives a shit. Definitely no Dallas Stars fans here. Yeah, they're idiots. They were kids. They're idiots or kids that like the jerseys. They're like, ooh, look, it's a cat. It's like, there isn't an adult Florida Panthers fan within like 1,000 miles of this city. Guaranteed.
Wonder if we're going to have a real Canadian get behind the Oilers thing. Do you think we will?
Dude, yeah, we're going to usher it. Absolutely, we will. We're going to see the whole country rally behind the Edmonton Oilers.
I'd like to see it.
Doesn't happen. I'd like to see it too. I'm an Oilers fan.
All right.
Anyway,
by the way, wish me luck. I'm off to
for what?
Film a video with Stacy from Arden Roof Systems at the Stollery.
Yeah,
they're gonna take us on a tour, and that's happening this afternoon. And then I'm gone for a couple of days. I got to go out of town. I can't really talk about why, but I might be back on Friday, Dean. I might be able to do a pod on Friday. Okay.
All right.
Cool?
I'm excited. Yeah, absolutely. Friday, Lochlin's back. But don't forget, if you're going to go do the Stollery Children's Hospital taping with Stacy Disapel from Arden Roof Systems, incumbent upon us to mention the golf tournament on July 5th and how people can still get involved a little bit, right? Because it's a big deal. It's for the kids.
Absolutely. And July 5th is the tour. And why you're coming to Edmonton when?
July 4th of July.
Okay, you are. Okay, so we need to talk about when we're going to auction off the chance to golf with you and I on that on our foursome. We're going to try to raise some money for the Stollery. Anyway, yeah, we'll do it on this somehow. We'll figure it out. Can you think about that?
No.
Because I don't know how to do that.
No, you think about that. I don't want all the extra work.
Okay.
You think about it and do it, and I'll do it with you.
Okay, buddy.
I'm happy to do the auction, but I don't think people are going to pay to golf with us. They might pay to golf with you, but no one in Edmonton knows who I am unless you're an anti-vaxxer and then you want to murder me. So, yeah, maybe some people do actually want to golf with me.
Dean, you're listen, I'll take that money. It's for a good cause. No, we're doing a tour through the Stollery Children's Hospital today to they want to show Stacy where his money is gone, like from this tournament. He's raised $65,000 in the last 4 years. 4 golf tournaments. He's raised $65,000. So today we're filming. I got my buddy Sean walking through the hospital with us. So we should have that out at least for sure for the tournament, but we might be able to have some clips of that and we'll be able to show people because it's a really cool charity. And I'll give you the broad strokes. The Child Life Program for the Stollery raises money to help kids deal with being in the hospital. So it pays for entertainers. It pays for visits from animals. There's a beach that they've built on site. Different programs to take the kid's mind off of being sick, right? And maybe give them a little moment of levity, a little moment of being a kid for a bit while they're in a place where they're dealing with some really heavy stuff. So that's something, because Stacy spent a lot of time in the hospital when he was a kid. He had spinal meningitis 3 times. So he, it's something that's close to his heart. Anyway, you can sign up for the golf tournament, like Dean said, ArdenRoofSystems.com, July 5th, Ranch Golf and Country Club. We'll get you more details on how to golf with Dean and I at some point here in the next couple of weeks. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Lochlin Cross, at Lochlin Cross on Twitter. You can find him. The Locker Room YouTube page. Go and give that a subscribe as well. Host of the Locker Room, and doing something really good for the city of Edmonton with our friends at Arden Roof Systems. So give him a call. Go to ArdenRoofSystems.com too. They're the best roofing company in Edmonton, and I think they're growing, and I think they're going to be covering more of Alberta. So if you're an Alberta patron, someone in the beautiful province of Alberta, my home province, make sure you give Stacy a call if you need anything. ArdenRoofSystems.com. Again, ArdenRoofSystems.com. Thanks to everybody for spending some time with us today. Really appreciate it. Congrats to the Oilers, the only Canadian team involved. Let's get behind them. I mean, it is Canada. That's what Canadians do. We get behind each other. Like this Canadian podcast from our friends at Muse on the Mic. You need to download this podcast. Go to Muse on the Mic, the Patreon version. It is uncensored, and it is really good. You can go and subscribe. Doesn't cost you a couple bucks. No big deal. And you get a behind-the-scenes look at what it's like to work in the world's oldest industry. They're advocates in the sex industry. They're educators as well. Muse on the Mic is an excellent podcast that redefines provocative massage podcasts. Check them out on their website, musemassage.spa.com. Also, our friends at Cantor made this possible. Colin was in town with Alex Tagliani's racing team, finished 10th this weekend, put on a clinic, didn't make it to the actual race, had dinner with him the night before. Colin might be one of the greatest Canadians no one's really heard of yet. This guy is an advocate for Canada, business in Canada, brought all of his manufacturing at Cantork back to Canada from overseas a number of years ago because he believes in the people that work here, because they make rugged torque wrenches, hardworking torque wrenches, and they're the leading industrial tool experts in the world, giving you the very best in sales, service, rentals, calibration, maintenance, and custom fabrication of industrial torque tools. Go to cantork.com for more information today and check out their website. They got a brand new one. It's beautiful. Product, services, news about. You can check out their podcast. But if you're in the market for a torque wrench, heavy industry, nuclear railroad, you have a bolting solution, need a bolting solution, can't find a bolting solution, looseners and fasteners, these guys are the best in the world. They make it for heavy industry around the world, out of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, proudly putting a beautiful maple leaf on every one of their products. It's really proud of themselves. I'm proud of them too. Colin's a great guy. Cantork.com for more information. Excuse me. And of course, fact check. If you want to believe in what you read, you need to get fact check in your life by joining their beta test team today. Go to faktchek.io, faktchek.io today. Sign up for their beta program, answer a couple questions. Boom. You'll get an ID and you're on your way to possibly becoming a verified fact checker. We need people every single day to beta test this program. And to beta test this program, all you need is your willingness to kill disinformation with us. Pictures, videos, text messages, doesn't matter if it's got a URL. We'll be able to tell you where it's from, who did it, and why. That's kind of the purpose, the epistemology of disinformation. We want to wreck it for you. So we've joined with some really smart people, scientists, data scientists, psychologists, media folks, journalists, people that actually give a shit to put this together, and it is incredible. The beta program is phenomenal. Need you to try it, so go and join up for their beta program, faktchek.io. Again, factcheck.io today for more details. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Really appreciate you spending some time with us. We'll be back here tomorrow, probably around 11 o'clock, probably played sometime later on in the day, but don't forget everything we do at Crier Media. Crier.co. Bye-bye.